So this is the first video blog of me talking to things, talking about my experiences and sharing them. I think oftentimes what I forget is that, for example, when I'm teaching and I think I'm reaching out to so many people and talking to so many people all the time that I really am not. I'm talking to 20 people at a time. And so, given the digital age and how I've been kind of abrasive to the digital age, I've decided that I wanted to reach more people. And one of the things I love is cooking. And I talk a lot, so I could maybe talk through cooking and share some of my experiences, not necessarily expertise. Over time, I've had a lot of experiences, and I really have appreciated coming into contact with so many people that have taught me so much. And for this first one, I want to do a little dish I learned about in Japan. Super simple. And it's just a fried egg on top of lettuce with some salt. But I swear to God, simple and good, healthy, and gets you started for the day. It looks beautiful with the color contrast, and then anyone can do it. And it's one of the first ways it taught me, and then why I'm showing this dish first. It's one of the first ways to cook that taught me very simply to be patient and to be have things simple, and to appreciate simple things, and also minimalism sometimes is good. I know people often knock minimalism and they say that the pieces of food are like that big. That's not necessarily the case. Minimalism also can be minimalist in ingredients, minimalist in presentation, but fulfilling nonetheless. So here we go. So part of the dish requires lettuce. This is butter lettuce, or sometimes people call it a Boston leaf. I like this one because one, it's like straight from the goddamn ground. But oftentimes it's in farms that do the what's it called, the water farming, and it's just it's a great and easy leaf to use. It's tasteful, simple. It has a little cup also to it almost. So if you wanted to use it for some sort of like stuffed wraps or something like that, like I know P.F. Chang's kind of made that popular, but doing like the chicken wraps with the peanut sauce and all that, and lettuce. Now this is one of those lettuces. I can do that really easily, or you can make mini little sliders and put some sliders in here, and then poof, you have a low carb hamburger set up there if you wanted to, or turkey patty or veggie patty, whatever you want to do. So that's the lettuce. This is the main part of the dish, and that's why I'm focusing on it so much and talking about it so much, is because it's super simple, and this lettuce makes that happen. You can use romaine, you can use leafy greens other than romaine, like I don't know, you could use kale, but maybe a softer kale so it's easier to cut and eat, like a baby kale or something like that, and just make a bed of leaves. They don't have to be whole leaves like this, but this one is especially good because it cups the fried egg that's going to go on top of it. So I basically doing a point of view, I guess, most of this time, because I want you to see what I'm seeing. I'm not gonna focus on myself so much, but ooh, dropped an egg. Damn, first mistake. That's why I gotta watch what I'm doing. I'm going to mostly do a point of view just so you can see what I'm doing and see some technique, but also appreciate, seeing the dish and recognizing the dish, what it does, what it looks like. And when I say what it does, I mean like what the dish does in terms of presentation. A part of it, again, is super simple. When a dish is working for you, in terms of if you're working in a restaurant, it means that it's you're using simple ingredients and simple presentations. And what it does for you is it makes it beautiful. It simultaneously can be healthy. Simultaneously it can be whatever you want it to be. There's the egg. I dropped it. I'm sorry about the shake. I have a natural shake, and that's something that will be taken care of over time in terms of maybe better video equipment. But the egg is still useful, so don't think because you drop an egg it's bad, especially if it's still intact on a table. So, basic burner here. I already have my pan ooh, that was big. I already have my pan pre-greased from a meal I made last night, just like treating a pan. You can leave, some of this stuff, the oils and the fats in there to help you cook. It was butter based, so it's kind of stayed. And there are some obvious health reasons to maybe not do that and clean it up, so I don't recommend everyone doing that. But if you have a strong immune system, and also you're kind of used to this cooking style, you can do this kind of leave the grease in, so to speak. It's kind of like treating the pan, and so you don't have to add that much more in terms of calories to your dish by adding maybe another scoop of butter or coconut oil, whatever you're using. Sometimes also when I want to cut calories, I'm gonna use a PAM. The PAM is the cooking spray. But anyways, a part of this and what's going to be difficult is doing a lot of this one-handed. But I do that often when cracking eggs, so it actually will work out. I'll show you in a second. Okay, now we've switched to my dominant hand, my right hand. I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit. It's hot enough now where it's going to make the egg kind of bounce off the surface and not be sticky. When I mean bounce off, it's not going to adhere to the surface. You don't want to throw an egg into a pan cold, non-stick or not. Oftentimes you'll get it to be stuck. So grease in the pan, kind of a hot pan, and turn it down to about a medium-high heat, and then crack the egg. So cracking it, boom, right? I'm using one finger, I just crack it in half and pull with one finger, almost like using chopsticks, and pull it apart like that. Part of the egg and the cracking process and doing that with one hand, and you have your other hand available to use a spatula immediately if you need, or add seasoning, or keeping another hand clean also, especially with using eggs or fish or meat of any kind like chicken. You want to keep hands clean as often as you can, and making that simple, right, or doing it simply is with one-handed technique, something you can learn over time. Alright, so now this is cooked plenty on one side. Sorry for the bad perspective. I'm cooking as I'm recording. Cook plenty on one side. If you want to have it more even, you can pop some of those bubbles there. You can use a spatula like this, so especially a non-stick pan, you want to use kind of like silicone-based spatula. I like mine over medium, so I cooked mine until the white, as you saw before, was kind of even all the way throughout, and that the yellow of the yolk was still really bright. Not that it starts to subdue as you cook it longer, meaning that over the layer, the top of the egg is going to have some sort of substance over the top that's going to cloud it a little bit. Though when you poke the egg right when you're done cooking it, it's going to be different, meaning that you'll see that bright yolk come out, but when you're cooking it in the sunny side up, which means the yolk is up, you'll start to see it kind of change color. I don't go that far, I just wait until the white changes. I don't cook it too long on the other side too. If I'm going to go over easy or over medium, I'll do it one side, I'll flip it back over and see how it's looking. It looks about perfect. And I'm going to transport it to my dish here. So I have it set up where the leaf has been washed. I have 3 on there. I'm cooking 3 eggs today. I'm putting it directly onto the leaf. It might make it wilt a little bit if it's hot. If you don't like that, just put it off to the side for a second. Cook all your eggs, and put all your eggs on top, and you'll get that minimalist presentation I was talking about. I know the plate is busy. This is the first video. Too bad. Alright, second egg. I'm going to do both this time. And then you can maybe see what I was talking about previously. There's the one-head track. You can see what I was talking about previously in terms of that yolk starting to change color because the rest of the white of the egg is cooked around it, so to speak. It's barely noticeable. Um, I noticed it because I've been cooking eggs for 30 years. I know a lot of people have been cooking a lot of eggs um, for their whole life, but I just noticed really weird little things like that. Also, when you're cooking eggs over medium or over easy, let's see, maybe that punch technique again to get those bubbles out. I separate them. Just obviously makes them easier to handle. Um, in the handling, eggs over easy, you don't want to, go towards the yolk too early. Because if you start to get underneath it right away, especially if you're not putting a lot of grease in the pan like I am, or using a non-stick that relies on it already being kind of already mobile, don't touch underneath the yolk. You're going to break it if you especially are pissed off when you break your yolk, especially if you're trying to go for presentation or minimalism here. And a part of the minimalism is actually having a yolk that is together, right? That's not broken. Also, you see the technique I'm doing though is I'm preparing to get to that center of the yolk. So I'm going around the edges of the white and getting ready, because that part is cooking the fastest, and so it's hard for that yolk right to get ready to lift off the pan. So I'm going around to make it really easy. So you can see how I can get under that yolk now. Doing that so it's really easy to pick up the egg. I also notice a lot of my grease is gone. So the grease was effective, it was used. If you keep doing this, you're probably going to have to grease it eventually. I'm also going to turn the heat down a little bit. I can guarantee you probably cook more than I would like on one side, but remember, we're going to do very short cooking on the other side. And we're going to present that side up, which is kind of cheating, but too bad. It's going to be cooked well. You're going to have some crispiness to the egg, which some people like, but you're going to also have the silkiness and the liquidity, so to speak, of the yolk when you break it over this presentation. All right, I'm going to cut the camera for a second. What happens in cooking? Mistakes. Literally, that's how pretty much probably every dish has ever been made, is trial and error and mistakes. So definitely embrace mistakes. And don't worry about them. People tend not to even care in the first place when you do them. Turn the heat off. And bring them over one at a time. Again, I'm going to set them off to the side so it doesn't make the leaf. It doesn't make the leaf wilt. But eventually, I'm going to put them on top. Right on top of there. They're still wet because, when they're wet, the salt I'm going to put on there, which is just basically the only ingredient, the salt I'm going to put on there is going to then adhere a lot more easily to the leaf. So here we go. All right, so I'm going to let them cool for a second. I'll come back to you in a sec. All right, so I'm back, and the eggs are cooled now. I'm going to use a spatula in a second. I just have the salt. I'm just having some water with breakfast here. And again, this is like, an instruction session, in terms of learning technique in some way, or gleaning some things from my experiences, but to also, check out some things that maybe you won't be exposed to and that I have had the privilege of being exposed to, which is just a really simple breakfast that has really helped me taper down what a breakfast should be. A lot of people say, okay, you're supposed to have a huge breakfast, you eat like a king for a breakfast, a prince for lunch, and then a pauper for dinner. There's some truth to that. But when people take that, they take it to mean like I can eat whatever I want, like cinnamon rolls on top of pancakes on top of fried chicken. Calories in, calories out. You're making it very difficult for yourself starting off the day by just having all your calories in one meal. I like this one just because I feel good after I have it, and I feel rejuvenated. So the salt I'm using is just a kosher salt out of a bin here. And I use kosher salt because it tends to be more coarse in the grain. If you can see that, I know I'm not being able to focus very well. My hand is shaking here. But I like this one because you get a pop of the salt, so you don't need a lot. You can use a shaker, and this technique tends to not be as sanitary, because if you keep on grabbing from that salt, and maybe you have something on your fingers that could be problematic. So again, if you have immune deficiencies, wouldn't recommend this, or also wash your hands often, or keep this covered. But I have a pretty strong immune system right now, And when I say right now, because those things change for people, I have a strong immune system. I grab it, I'm feeling okay. Wash the leaves of the lettuce, right? They're gleaming. I'm gonna just sprinkle some of that salt over the top. Some people can use soy sometimes too. You get a little bit more flavor out of that. I do 2 small pinches. And when I do 2 small pinches, I get all that flavor with the leaf of the lettuce. I have my fork ready. I might even get a knife to help me out with this. I'm gonna pop those eggs on there now, and I'll have them put on there for you in a second here. All right, shaky hands, but here it goes. One-handed grab and place. I went from underneath and shook it. A good technique with eggs is like kind of like a push and shake. Drop it right on top. I'm gonna use my hands a little bit. Another one, shake underneath it, push across the plate, drop on top. And our first egg actually, it broke in the pan here, or in the plate, which is okay. The natural saltiness, I feel all that yolk will help the dish. We can cover that up with another egg. So here it is, a dish I learned from a woman named Terio Naito when I was 12 years old, and it changed how I saw breakfast. Just one last look at it there. Maybe if it's still enough, we can get it still. So that's it. That's a minimalist breakfast, but I think with maximum nutrition, or at least power for the morning, you get some leafy greens, those micronutrients. You get your macros with protein, and you get some clean proteins with little amounts of fat. You have cholesterol and things like that in there. And what you could do to pair with this, if you are looking for your carbohydrates, is then have a side of fruit, something very simple. And again, the minimalist part of this sometimes is you can do this so fast. That's that's sometimes the issue with breakfast in the morning. It's like, oh crap, I don't have enough time to make a breakfast. If I wasn't recording this would have taken me 30 seconds to 90 seconds, depending on if I had the pan already heated, which would be impossible. So probably more like somewhere in between about 60 seconds. Turn the heat on, get it hot in about 30 seconds, put the eggs on there, another 30 seconds, flip them for that 10 seconds or so just to sear one side of the egg, and put them off to the side. And you can put it right onto the leaf, eat it right away. Obviously be careful with the heat. But that's it right there. And you're in my house, in my kitchen with me with my KU hat on. I have the hat on because the hair in the morning is crazy. So I'm going to do some of these recordings and see how they go over time. This will be a first run through. And obviously I won't be using my phone like this the whole time, but sometimes, right, in this society in which we live in, you can only have one hand. You got, someone on the phone, you're taking care of stuff in the morning, or you're looking at the weather. You can do your breakfast with one hand like I did this morning, and you can make it healthful, right, and you can feel good about it. And again, it looks pretty damn good with that color contrast, and you get your eggs done really simply. Again, you can use Pam to cut down on any fats and salts, and you can also have already a pan that's been treated before with some sort of grease, fat, or other type of oils that can keep it reflecting the proteins and other things that stick to pans. So I hope you like this video, and I'm going to post and edit it, so by the time that you hear this part, and it's been like a 10-minute video for 3 eggs, but it's more like an introductory video also, meaning that I'm showing techniques, I'm going to be revisiting those techniques, and then I'm going to also be referencing experiences, and maybe we'll talk even about some culture and other things like that too. That'll be referenced throughout this. I want it to be very simple, very straightforward, very conversational, almost like you called somebody, your friend, and you said, hey, how do you do that dish again? And then that's who I want to be. And I know people have FaceTime nowadays, or you're on the phone, or you're texting your mom or something, and you need help with a dish, and maybe I can be that for you when you don't have that person on hand. All right? Thank you for tuning in. My name is Alex Cloyd, and this is my first video about cooking. I hope you like and appreciate it. I'm just doing this as a service. meaning I would like to just share my knowledge and experience and um, and uh, and touch the world in a different way. And one of those ways I love to do it, and I do it all the time, is cooking and cooking for my family and my friends. So thank you. See ya. See that right there? Reminds me of being in Japan, being 12 again, and Ontario for taking care of me. So thank you for teaching me this. And until next time.